Okay, good morning. So let's start sitting today. And it doesn't have to be any super compact position, just comfortably. Ah, we made it. So let's begin just with a bit of breath work and side bending. It looks so dark over here. Interesting, because I know that's going to change in like 20 minutes. Okay. So on your inhale, reach your right arm up. On your exhale, lean over to the left. Inhale, come through center, change arms. Exhale, lean over to the right. Inhale to rise and switch. Exhale, side bend, but don't let your butt lift. Inhale through center, so we're reaching to the right. We have to keep our left sit bone down. Inhale. And exhale. So I'm coming down to the elbow, but inhale. That's just because I've already been awake for a lot of hours. Exhale. And I've walked dogs and moved around. If you're just waking up, you probably will not go quite that low. Let's just take one more time each side. And your breath pace does not have to equal my breath pace. You could do this as slow as you want. I like to do this also when I'm just watching Netflix at night. Okay, inhale through center. And let's change the way your feet are crossed or legs so that the other one is in front or on top. It might feel a little awkward because it was not your go-to. So then we'll reach right arm up and lean over to the side. We'll stay there this time. So the left hand will be out a bit. And it's helping you to push the right sitting bone down. If it didn't push, you would just kind of fall over. And then there would be no stretch for that right side body. So just take another breath or so here. And we'll come through center on the next inhale and over to the other side, and we'll stay there. So you don't have to get to your deepest place right away. You have some time to wiggle into it, to lean forward and back, to lean more and less to the side. What? Monique? She's late, but she's here. All right, let's go up through center. And just release your feet. Let's plunk them down on the mat and just forward bend with our feet about hips width. Shake out the head and neck. And with your body folded over, your hands could be on the ground in any which way. Just straighten one leg, other one bent, and then change it. So as you do that, your hips will be shifting. They will not be square. But it can help you get into your belly straight. Because you can feel as you're changing which leg is straight, there's this moment of thighs and torso connecting. You want to try to draw the belly in so that they're not just smushing thighs and belly together. There's like a tiny gap by the belly button. Okay, let's bend both knees and roll up to standing. You can walk your hands on your legs if you have any back pain. Head comes up last, then head to the top of your mat. And we'll stand with feet together, hands together. Inhale. Lower the arms, exhale. Reach up, inhale. Pull forward, exhale. Halfway up, inhale. Just send the left foot back so you're in a lunge, exhale. Simple twist, right arm up, inhale. Untwist, exhale. Step to plank for your inhale. Chaturanga for your exhale. Upward facing, inhale. Downward facing, exhale. Same foot, right foot Twist again, simple twist, same thing, right arm up, untwist, and this time back foot forward, inhale. So we're at the top of the mat again, fold, exhale. Rise up, inhale, fold forward again for the exhale, and we'll just do that on the other side. And come halfway up for an inhale, step right foot back, lunge, exhale. Simple twist, left arm up, inhale. Untwist for the exhale. Step to plank for the inhale. Chaturanga for the exhale. Upward facing, inhale. Downward facing, exhale. Step the left foot forward. Twist. Try to keep your left hip moving back. We'll untwist for the exhale. Back foot forward, inhale, chest forward, fold, exhale. Rise up, inhale, fold forward again, exhale. Come halfway up, inhale, left foot back, exhale, this time high lunge, arms up, inhale. Hands to the floor for chaturanga. Exhale. So there's a bit more ground to cover. Inhale, chest up. Downward dog, exhale. Right foot forward. High lunge again. Inhale. Fingertips to the floor, exhale. Back foot forward, inhale. Fold, exhale. Reach up, inhale. Fold forward again, exhale. We'll do those things on the other side. Inhale, halfway up. Right foot back. Exhale, there's our lunge. Reach up, inhale. This is just a high lunge. Hands to the floor. Chaturanga on that exhale. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Left foot forward. Inhale to reach up. Exhale, fingertips down. Back foot forward, inhale. Fold, exhale. Rise up, inhale. And just fold forward again, exhale. Come halfway up for the inhale. Send the left foot back. Exhale, this time warrior one, holding opposite elbows. We inhale to get there. We exhale all the way to chaturanga. Inhale for upward facing. Exhale for downward facing. Again, right foot forward. Warrior one, holding opposite elbows, pulling them back. Fingertips to the floor for the exhale. Back foot forward, inhale. Fold, exhale. Reach up, inhale. Fold forward again, exhale. Halfway up, inhale. Right foot back, exhale. Warrior one, holding opposite elbows, inhale. Hands to the floor, chaturanga, exhale. Upward facing, inhale. Downward facing, exhale. Left foot forward. Warrior one, holding opposite elbows, pull them back. Fingertips down, exhale. Back foot forward, inhale. Fold, exhale. Rise up, inhale. Arms by our sides, exhale. And just stand there for a moment and breathe. It's only been 9 minutes, and already notice your blood is pumping, so it doesn't take a lot. If you don't have an hour and a half, just do something like that. Let's meet in Utkatasana. Knees bend, arms up. Let's interlace the fingers and try to get the arms super straight. Bend the knees another inch. Push knee into knee. Okay, fold as you straighten the legs. Exhale. And halfway up, inhale. Let's practice just jumping forward and back. So place your hands not next to your feet, but maybe 6 or 8 inches in front of your feet so you can shift your weight. And jump your feet to downward dog. Lift your heels, bend your knees, and practice jumping forward. It doesn't matter how far forward your feet get, but don't let your wrists lift up. And just do that a few times, forward and back. Practice keeping your arms really straight, squeezing them in toward one another. The next time that you get to downward dog, just stay there. Shake out your head and neck. It's easy to keep the wrists down in downward dog. You have no ambition of going forward. But let's check ourselves again with our ambition. Right leg up high, inhale. Step the right foot forward just as far as it goes without letting your wrists lift off the ground. And find your three-legged dog again, right leg up. One more time, right foot forward, arms stay straight, and windmill up to warrior two. And we'll just stay here for a few breaths. Periodically, it's nice to check down at that right big toe, make sure you can see it. We're always pushing the knee open to the right here. It's really just that hip rolling under. I'm sure you're wondering when I'm going to get us out of this pose because it's not that easy. But let's just take 2 more breaths. And we'll lower the hands down, step back, vinyasa. Some of us will have a natural desire to keep moving, to keep in the vinyasa format. And some of us will be more inclined to hold poses longer. Both are good for you. You have to sometimes get out of your desire zone. Let's lift left leg up high, inhale. Step as far as you can forward, exhale. One more time, inhale. We lift the left leg, we're pushing into our fingertips. When we step forward, we're pulling with our fingertips. Windmill up to warrior two. Try to engage the triceps so you feel like your arms are very strong. And bring your arms into the socket so you feel like your upper back is very strong. That's how ballerinas can keep their arms out for so long. They're really using their back. This is a great place to practice lifting the pubic bone, finding that neutral pelvis. Good. And hands to the floor. Step back, vinyasa. Let's walk hands back to feet. Slide your hands under your feet, palms up. Inhale, and fold, exhale. We'll take a few breaths here. Sometimes when we practice jumping forward or stepping forward, we wind up with a little bit of wrist strain. So use this, pushing your feet down to help your wrists bend the opposite way. Should feel pretty good. Okay, we'll straighten the arms for an inhale. Walk the hands into downward dog. Lift the right leg high. And we'll bring our knee to the chest. We're just going to stay there in a rounded plank with either knee toward the chest or also drop your head and bring your knee toward your forehead. Take 2 more breaths. Lift the right leg up high, inhale. Step forward, exhale. Warrior two, inhale. So that stepping forward really comes from the strength of curling in like you did in the rounded plank. Okay, right elbow to thigh, left arm behind the back. We're going to grab hold of the right thigh, and we'll try to walk our fingers to the inside of the thigh. So keep your thumb with your other fingers, otherwise you'll have a limit of how far over your hand can go. And instead of looking up, just look straight forward and drop your right ear toward your right shoulder. There will be a lovely stretch for the left side of your neck. Nice. It's a little intense today for me. Sometimes it doesn't feel like much, but right now I feel like my head might go roll across the room. Okay. Let's bring the head to neutral again. Straighten the right leg, triangle pose. You might want to scoot your back foot in a little bit more. We're going to try to keep our left arm behind us like this. And you can look up and think about bringing your chin toward your left shoulder. If that hurts your neck, just don't do that and look somewhere else. But this arm position is sort of making us lean back. So now you can scoop your right hip under more. Ooh, okay, let's reach the left arm up, rise up on the inhale, bend into the front leg, chaturanga for your exhale. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Left leg high, inhale, arms are very straight, rounded plank for a few breaths. So we rock forward and we keep our arms very straight, back widening, knee toward the chest or the face, left toes off the ground, like your left heel is trying to touch your foot. And three-legged dog, inhale, step forward, exhale. If when you step forward, it didn't go far enough, just scooch it the rest of the way so you can rise to your warrior two and have a long enough stance to get your knee as bent as you want, but with the knee over the ankle. Okay, elbow to thigh. Right arm behind the back. Grab hold as best you can. Drop the left ear toward the left shoulder. Try to breathe steady. When you go through your vinyasas, you're very prompted on a steady breath. But now maybe your mind wanders. That's one of the reasons we have to practice holding things sometimes. Okay, head to normal, left leg straight, triangle pose. Adjust your stance as needed. Decide where you want your left hand to be so that your leg can be straight. I like to push my waist back into the arm. It helps find the abdominal strength. 2 more breaths. We'll reach the right arm up. On an inhale, we rise. Exhale to bend the knee, lower the hands, step back, and bend the elbows. That's a lot to do on one exhale. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right leg high, inhale. Bring the knee to the left elbow and hover there. It may not actually touch, it's fine. Just aim it that general direction. So you have that little twist going on. And try to keep your weight equal on your hands. So just because your knee is aiming to the left elbow doesn't mean your left hand has to take too much extra weight. Let's reach the leg up again, inhale. This time we'll land the right knee near the left wrist. We'll swing the right hip forward toward the right wrist. And we'll find swastikasana pose. I'm going to face this way for it. So this would be the top of the mat lining up with that thigh. You can just bend the knees to a swastika shape, 90 degrees in hips and knees. Left forearm, this is where it's the important lineup. Left forearm is parallel to the right thigh. Right hand is just near the left hand. We push and pull ourselves into a twist. So that right hand pushes down into the floor. You try to get your right ribs up toward the ceiling. The left hand is pulling our left ribs underneath. complete. And you decide how far you want to take this, of course. But it's pretty easy to feel something in the right tricep. Okay, let's unravel and just meet in downward dog again. And before we do that on the other side, step the right foot 3/4 of the way forward. Stay here for a sec and just notice when you stepped 3/4 of the way forward, you weren't as tempted to lift your wrists. Step to downward dog again and just do that a few times. Arms are straight, fingers are pushing and pulling, and just notice that you're a bit calm. There's not this ambition or this anxiety of what happens if my foot doesn't get all the way forward. So just remember that feeling emotionally, because we try to put that in hard poses also. Okay, right foot 3/4 of the way forward, twist a triangle. Rotate the back heel down. Straighten both legs, decide where you want your left hand to be, right arm up. And we push that left hand down into the floor or the block or the shin. We use it as our foundation. So we have 3 very helpful things on the floor, helping us twist a little bit deeper. Okay, let's unravel Anjaneyasana. Step the left foot back just a little more so you can lower the knee down. Whew. We did a lot of back bends on Friday. This should be easy, but I think it may be never easy. This left hip flexor will always require a little love. Okay, hands to the floor, step back, vinyasa. The other side, we start with left leg up and we bring the knee to the right elbow. And we hover there. When you're in a normal plank, it's quite easy to keep your weight right and left side equal. So just think about it here. Okay, leg up again, inhale. This time knee lands near the right wrist. Hip swings forward toward the left wrist. We just arrange our legs so they're in a swastika shape, something like this. 90 degrees, ankles, knees, hips. Right forearm will come parallel to left thigh. Here's where we get into the twist. Left hand is near the right hand. And push, pull. All right, let's unravel and meet in downward dog. Lift left leg up high, step it 3/4 of the way forward. And we'll just do this a few times, practicing really the hand-arm situation. And if it's easy for you, mentally and physically, to do the 3/4 step forward, then just go all the way forward. And when it's actually time to come into twisted triangle, we can adjust you. But find the appropriate amount of challenge for you so that you don't lose the integrity of your foundation, which would be your hands and traveling up your arms. Okay, we'll meet with our foot 3/4 of the way forward. Slide that right heel down so you have your heel to heel alignment, hips square. Right hand down somewhere, left arm up, inhale. So in Swastikasana, we could feel the hands working to get us into the twist. In this pose, it's a little harder because we have this crazy balance scenario. We have to squeeze our thighs together, but the hand can still help. Okay, let's unravel. We'll meet in Asana. Right knee down, low lunge, hands to the left knee. Just try to nudge yourself deeper into it. In our warrior 2 earlier, I said make sure your knee can stay over your ankle. But in this low lunge, you could get your knees over your toes. Maybe that's theoretically, but give it a whirl. Okay, and let's place the hands. Vinyasa at your leisure. Let's meet in down dog B on the forearms. If it's too much to have your palms flat, just interlace your fingers. And make sure you're still breathing calmly. Okay, while you're there on your forearms, lift your right leg up high. Circle your ankle a time or two. Go the other direction with your ankle. Point your toes. Square your hips. And straighten your arms. Let's bend the left knee and come into tabletop. So our right leg is still up. You might have to adjust where your hands are. Let's put our left hand on our belly. And just lift, literally hand into belly button up towards spine, spine up towards ceiling, so that we're not back bending, even though we have our right leg reaching behind us. And Lisa, let's roll your thigh in a little more. Yes. And reach it back a little more for everyone. So you should feel your hamstring working pretty hard right now to keep your leg there. Let's bring the left hand down again. Return to your three-legged downward dog. And step the right foot forward to the hands for Anjaneyasana. Left knee down. And we'll just move in and out of a half split. Straighten the front leg. That left knee is very supportive. Bend the knee, exhale. 2 more times like that. Inhale, push your heel down. Exhale, pull with your heel. 1 more time. Okay, then that front leg bends, hands down, vinyasa, or downward dog. We're gonna meet again in down dog B. Maybe this time you changed the hand situation if it was too much or too little for you last time. We'll lift the left leg up again. Or not again, but other side. That's our side 2. Lifting the leg up. Circle the ankle. Go the other way. So with the left leg up, just check that you still have weight in your left arm. You're not leaning too far. Let's point the left toes. Square the hip so that left leg will come down a bit. We're going to inwardly rotate that left thigh so it feels like your kneecap is pointing to the floor. Straighten the arms. And bring the right knee to the floor. Tabletop, adjust your hands so they're under your shoulders. Right hand to the belly so that you have a little feedback. Sometimes the lowest ribs will jut forward because we're in a back bend and we don't even know it. So keep drawing the belly in, so it defies gravity. Think about that back leg rolling in and reaching back. This should be tough. If you're feeling like it's super easy, It probably means your left leg is not really straight or that your hip is stacked. Okay, let's bring the hand down again. Right knee up. There's our three-legged downward dog. Step the left foot forward. Asana. And we'll relieve that hamstring a little bit by straightening the leg on an inhale, bending on the exhale. And we'll do that a total of 3 times. Okay, so the next time that your left leg is bent, place your palms flat, step back, vinyasa. Okay. Bring either foot forward. We're going to turn for prasarita. You might choose based on where your camera is. It doesn't matter. So toes face the long edge of the mat, hands between the heels. Inhale, fold, exhale. It's fine if you can't get your hands between the heels, but try to get your palms flat. Even if that means they're out in front of you somewhere, do that. And just a bit over time, you're going to walk them back. But you're going to have as much weight in the palm as you do in your fingertip. Okay, let's inhale for straight arms. Hands to the hips for an exhale. And we'll come to stand, inhale for goddess pose. Heels in, toes out. It's like a exaggerated ballet second position. I have to adjust my pants a little bit. Okay. Let's just keep our arms out to the side for a few breaths. There's nothing now pushing our knees back except the strength of our glutes sliding under. So there's this deep rotation, external rotation in the legs. Let's take another breath there and see if that is an achievable scenario. We're about to make it much easier. Okay, hands to the knees. Lean forward with straight arms. And now your knees will go back while you somewhat relax. You might want to shift side to side a little bit. This is one way to do frog pose while still standing. So if you're ever in frog and you have knee or ankle pain, just do it from here instead. All right, let's try to return to our goddess pose. So your muscles have to come into play again. A lot of those outer glutes. Okay, let's just straighten the legs. Pivot so you face the front of your mat and angle your feet so that your right foot is straight forward, left foot is a diagonal, but there's like the right leg is on the track of the right hip, left foot with the left hip. So they're not crossing, they're not on like a tightrope. They're like straddling a line. From there, either hold opposite elbows behind you or take reverse prayer. Inhale, fold, exhale. If you ever do end up on that feeling of a tightrope, just widen your stance. Right foot further to the right, left foot further to the left. Because we just want our legs kind of going out from their respective hip. And while you're here, you might not be folded quite as far as I am, but you are going to keep your legs straight. Okay, we'll rise up on the inhale, and let's just pivot over to the other side. If you have any wrist pain from a reverse prayer, change it so you're holding opposite elbows, because it's quite intense for the wrists. Inhale, chest up, and fold some amount on the exhale. Keep lifting the elbows toward the ceiling. Even if you are not in that reverse prayer, it's going to help get your chest open. So it feels like your chest is aiming toward your left ankle. Okay, let's rise up and we'll just pivot to face the front, undo the hands, and vinyasa. I have to wipe sweat off my hands first. before I can land it. Okay. So from down dog, we'll lift the right leg up high. With keeping the right leg up, we'll attempt to get our elbows down. So we're going to move very slowly. You can even look forward between your thumbs. That might help. And as your elbows descend, you're going to squeeze them in so that they land behind the wrists. Once they land, drop the head. And let's square the hips again. Reach back through your right toes. You might even be able to drop your head enough to see your right leg. Take one more breath here. Lift the right leg a little higher. And straighten the arms. Walk the hands in a few inches and then left knee down, just like you did before. So we're in that tabletop again. This time, either left hand to the belly, like you did the first time, or left arm out in front of you, which will be a little bit harder. Not so much harder for balance, but just harder to remember to draw the belly in. If we're not touching it or our teacher is not touching it, sometimes it's like it doesn't exist. But that's not really the case. So keep thinking waistline to ceiling. Right toes are going to reach back, get that leg a little longer. Good. And let's bring both hands, or not both hands down, but yeah, both hands down. You already had one down. And then knee down. Normal tabletop. Inhale to arch. Exhale to round. Inhale to arch. Exhale to round. Inhale to arch, and this time we'll take it to downward dog for the exhale. So some of you will find it that pushing from forearms to straight arms is easier than lowering down, but we need to really be able to do it both ways, mentally and physically. So let's lift the left leg up. Pretend someone is pulling on your left leg. Look forward just a bit and start to rotate your shoulders so that as you bend your elbows, they're moving in toward each other. Your fingers are pushing your chest back so that eventually your elbows land. And of course, if that's not a comfy way, just lower that left foot, then deal with your forearms, then lift the left foot again. Let's square the hips, drop the head. That left kneecap is facing down, the left toes are reaching back. Belly in. We'll re-straighten the arms, walk them in a few inches, and find your tabletop with the right knee down, left leg still lifted. Ooh-wee. So this is not like the cat-cow where we're in the arch. Let's bring our right hand to our torso and just try to find a streamlined quality. Left leg is about as high as the hip. Maybe you want to reach your right arm forward. Either way, we're constantly rotating that left thigh in, so it feels like the inseam of your pants is rising up toward the ceiling. So the left hamstring should feel a little fatigued right now. One more breath. We'll lower the hand, lower the knee. Oh my gosh, my butt is going to be so sore later. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round. Again, inhale, arch. Draw the sitting bones toward each other as you round. That is Mula Bandha. Inhale, arch. And press the downward dog, exhale. Okay, let's step, walk, or jump, feet toward hands. Inhale there. And fold, exhale. Bend the knees a little bit or a lot and start to roll up to standing. Angle your tailbone toward the floor so that you feel supported as you come up. Or use your hands on your legs. Okay. We're going to do a little something with the right foot. From potentially flying pigeon, which would be like this. If your balance feels crazy, you could sit on a chair in your house or sit on your butt and do double pigeon. So really, I just want you to have access to your right foot. We're going to use the left hand by the sole of the foot to get a finger between each toe. And my right hand has to separate my toes, otherwise there is no space for a left finger to get in there. But voila, the right hand is helpful. Then the right hand can just go on the knee or the thigh. We're going to keep this right foot really, really flexed. Just move the toe box around in a circle. And this is good practice for ankle stability, because when you go to things like Asana, you know your ankle has to be flexed strong the whole time. Let's go the other way. So even though you're messing around with your toes right now, you're not messing around with your ankle, your knee, or your hip. Okay, let's let that hand out of there and switch sides. So whatever version you were doing. Now it's the left ankle on the lower right side. Deal with your balance first if you're standing, and then one right finger between each of the left toes. Left hand then helps us stabilize, and we circle the toes around. You could also put your left hand on your heel and ankle if you feel like the wiggle factor is too great. For balancing poses, we really need our feet happy. Let's go the other direction. So as much as possible, don't wear shoes or don't wear high heels. Maybe that's one of the good things about quarantine is you haven't had to as much. The professional working force is different these days. Okay, let that go and rise up. Let's come back to the top of the mat from wherever you were, standing if you were not. And we'll inhale to reach the arms up, fold forward, exhale. Halfway up, inhale. Just send the left foot back for your lunge. We'll lower the left knee down like we did before. There's our Asana. And in Anjane, the hip angle is forward and down. We're going to keep thinking about that. Just move the right foot further forward. So now we're in this long lunge, but our hips are still moving forward and down. It's going to be a little more work for the hamstring. Take another breath there, see if it feels good. Maybe you go a little further, but we're still thinking hips forward and down. There's a lot of other stuff happening, but for today, I want you to just realize what your hips are doing. Pretty much every time we do this, I say something different. So you might have noticed this is very akin to your split. You might want to bring it into a split. Your call. Your hands will help on the floor to steer you straight. But there's a lot of strength in a split. It's not just a plop into your flexibility pose. So maybe you can get your hands off the ground and not fall over. Maybe. Okay, let's return to our Asana. Started so friendly. Okay, and just step back to downward dog. We will do the other side soon, but not yet. Okay, let's bring our left foot 3/4 of the way forward and just stand with our feet in this kind of haphazard place. Hands to the hips and steer your hips square. A lot of work to get that right hip forward. Put a little bend in the front leg. Launch your left or your right leg up to this warrior 3 variation. Hands on the hips is going to help us make sure our hip bones face the floor. Reach your right leg further back. Now slide your hands to your belly and lift it up. because chances are good that you forgot. Because I forgot. Because now we're dealing with other things. Miss Bloom, what happened? Girl, you don't need water. Get your butt back over to your mat. You could drink in 45 minutes. Let's step back again. And then just bring your feet together. So there's this little push with the back foot. And we do that a lot in Ashtanga to bring our feet together, but in these classes, not so much. Okay, inhale, reach up. Fold forward, exhale. I love when y'all think I can't see you. Inhale, halfway up. Hi, Miss Bailey, and step or jump chaturanga, exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Okay, left foot forward for Anjaneyasana. So this is essentially your split. You don't have to ever take it further, but you do have to have the strength of your legs to keep yourself square. So hips are moving forward and down. You decide if your left leg goes forward anymore. And it's like that left heel is pulling you into a deeper bend in your left knee. I like to keep my back toes tucked because then it's more like a lunge. And I find it easier to be strong in a lunge instead of having the toes untucked. But traditionally in Ashtanga, the toes are untucked on the back foot. Just go as far as you want. We'll take a few more breaths here. On this side, I'm not going to lift my hands because in order to keep my hips square, my left hip is not touching the ground. I could get my left hip to the ground, but then I wouldn't be square anymore. If I had a towel handy, I could wedge it under my hip, but I'm not organized with props, so I'll just keep my hands on the ground. Okay, let's start to make our way to downward dog again, or through your Anjaneya into downward dog. And to set up for warrior 3, we'll step right foot partway forward and stand. So it's like when you were in your Parsvottanasana earlier, the one where you had opposite elbows and you were folding forward. So the same setup with the legs. Square yourself. Bend the right knee and launch the left leg up. We'll have to rotate that left thigh in so that just like when you were in tabletop, it feels like your inseam is rising, your kneecap facing the ground, and place your hands on your torso somewhere so that you can remember belly in, waistline toward the ceiling, that lowest rib tucked in. Good. Then the right knee so you can step again to that starting place and propel off the back foot so you can bring your feet together. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Halfway up, inhale. Step or jump chaturanga, exhale. Upward facing, inhale. Downward facing, exhale. Okay, let's have a seat for a moment. However you want to get there is fine. So some of you have some knee issues. If you do not have knee issues, fold your left leg back like Virasana. If you do have knee issues, keep your left leg straight. We're just going to reach the right leg up, catch it with the hands, and try to pull the leg in closer to us. If you can't catch the foot with your hands, you can probably at least catch your calf muscle, that's fine. And then still your arms are very strong, pulling your leg in, and you're trying not to lean back. So as you're pulling your leg in toward you, your torso is helping make the connection by slightly leaning forward. It's not really going to be leaning forward, but it sure feels like it's leaning forward. Okay, then let go of your leg. Try not to let it slam to the floor when you let go. So your leg muscles took over and you gently lower the leg. And let's change sides. So either right leg straight or right leg bent. Left leg lifts up, you catch it somewhere, decide where you want your hands to be. You could use a strap on the foot if you can't quite grip, but I would usually just hold the calf if I can't grip, because I never have a strap that handy, and I don't know, life is hard enough without increasing my stuff. So I like to make do with my hands somewhere else, but whatever works for you, do that. Just be aware of that leaning back tendency, because we've all got it. In a moment, when we let go of that leg, make sure your leg muscles take over. Straighten the arms. Try not to slam the foot. Gently place it. Okay. Let's bring our right leg into pigeon. So just rock and roll on your hips. And we'll bring forearms down, if possible. With the forearms down, you can steer yourself, much like you did in that swastikasana. Your hands are really helping you here. It might be not as dramatic as swastikasana, but your right hand will be pushing, your left hand will be pulling. So try that and see if that helps your hips square up at all. Right hand push, left hand pull. Okay, let's rise to our palms. We're going to bring our right foot closer to our left hip and come up higher, so that maybe our right hand is on our right thigh, left hand is on or near the right foot. So either stay here and help yourself stay up with your hands. If your legs can do it for you, interlace your fingers and reach up, steeple mudra. So it's a similar idea to your split, where your legs have to be crazy strong to hold you there. And if it feels precarious, you just keep your hands on the floor. Okay, let's let go of the hands, whatever it was, and step back. Vinyasa. Before we do that on the other side, from your downward dog, let's bring the left foot 3/4 of the way forward, or so, inexact, and just stand again in that Parsvottanasana setup. Square hips and reach up. You decide, do you want your hands shoulder width, or do you want to interlace, steeple mudra? Warrior 3. We lean into that left leg. We launch the right leg off the ground. If you're in steeple mudra, look forward toward your pointer finger. So basically, you're looking at where you're pointing. If you feel at all like your torso has arched into a back bend, release your hands to your core and just give yourself that feedback. All right, step back to our starting point, that Parsvottanasana setup, and propel yourself forward, standing. Let's just take a seat, and we'll do pigeon on the other side. Left leg forward. So first, it's downward facing pigeon, which you might have noticed is easier than upward facing pigeon. So we set it up in a way that our hands will help us square our hips. This is another thing that you can do while you're doing your Netflix night. You just don't make it too extreme, very in your comfort zone, but it nudges into all of our little issues that we wake up with different issues every day, but some are a thread through our whole life. So on this side, it would be your left hand pushing, your right hand pulling. Feel free to stay there or rise up, bring your left foot a little closer to your right hip so that you just have a slightly easier time getting upright, getting your shoulders over your hips. and make a choice. Do you stay there, hands helping, or hands maybe to the thigh, now you're even higher, or steeple mudra. So I feel that on this side, it's very hard. So to help myself, I'm going to put my hands behind my head and push my head back. It's a bit of a cheat, but I think I need to cheat or I won't be able to stay for the duration. Okay, let's slowly get out of there. Vinyasa. We'll bring our right foot about 3/4 of the way forward and we stand. So while we're standing in this prep place, your left knee is out to the side a little bit. When you get it off the ground, you have to roll your thigh in. So reach up, decide what you want to do with your hands. Lean forward, that right knee bends as you lean, but then we straighten it again as soon as the left foot gets off the floor. This is warrior 3. Reach out with the left toes. Reach forward with the hands, whether they're interlaced or not, unless you're choosing hands to torso. And then maybe you have a little more stability. Good, let's step back again. Release your arms. Oh, Lordy, and back foot forward. Okay, Vinyasa. Let's meet in down dog where we are comfortable. All right. So I'm going to show you a few things that we do in headstands that are not correct. And I'm going to tuck my shirt in so it doesn't fall. And I'm going to try to look at my camera while I do this in case I have the ability to see it, to see if I actually showed you. Okay. So we're just in Baddha Hasta A. One of the things we do, and we is me also, is we end up somewhere here. You see how my butt is sticking out, my legs are forward in a pike. So that's one thing folks tend to do. The other thing we end up doing is something like this, where we're kind of arched. Neither is correct. So we're going to try today to think of that neutral that we found in Warrior 3 and keep it straight up. So the problem is our hands are busy on the floor. We cannot go around feeling our ribs. So let's just go to tabletop one more time. Try to train our ribs and hips to cooperate with each other, and then we'll take it into the headstand. So from tabletop, let's extend left leg back. And you can keep your left toes on the floor, or you can lift your leg off the ground. And put your right hand on your torso, and just see that your hips and ribs are sort of cinching in toward each other, but not so much that you can't keep your left leg reaching back. Lower the right hand, lower the left knee, change sides. Right leg back, possibly up. So if I use too much abdominal strength, I'm going to wind up with my right knee bending in, or my right foot will be stuck on the ground. So there's a very fine line between how much core strength do you want and how much do you need to let it go so that you can have freedom in the leg. Okay, right knee down, hand down, Baddha Hasta A. Elbows down, measure it out, interlace your fingers, and get up into your headstand any way you want. I'm going to watch just in case I see a glaring alignment error. As you're approaching true vertical, your elbows need to be working. John, your legs are a little too far back. There you go. Lisa, your legs are a little too far forward. going on. It's really, I put myself on a camera every week or so just to see what am I doing in my headstand. Very informative. John, you fixed it, but now you're drifting again. Legs 3 inches, John, forward more. Yes. Good. And let's come down as slowly as we can. You can bend your knees or not on your descent. And if you don't feel like practicing inversions, you could always do down dog B's or sort of more core work, whatever seems to suit you. Okay, so that was pretty smooth. Let's go for Bahasa C with the same idea. So this one, you're gonna have your palms separated, but the head is in the same spot. So if I had my fingers interlaced and I lowered my head, then I could separate my hands and continue the journey up. Woo. So the fingers become more important. And then once you get vertical, the shoulders become really crucial. So play it by ear as to how far up you go. You don't have to go all the way up. John, your elbows are a little wide. Yeah, keep going in a little more. There you go. Okay. Woo. Yes. And then legs forward more, John. Good. And Carol's at a certain angle to her camera that I can't quite see if she's drifting forward or back. But I can still tell her to squeeze her legs together. Yes. All right. Good. Oh, John's on his back. How did you end up on your back? Did you fall? Okay. I didn't see the fall. But you're alive still. I'm glad. Okay. So let's come to our butts. And let's go for double pigeon, which most of you did flying pigeon earlier, but even if you did double pigeon earlier, this is one of those poses we're never done with. So you could do it every hour of the day and still need to do it. From all our walking, all our sitting. So just lean forward as much as feels good to you. I'm going to put my elbows on the ground. Sometimes I reach forward and put the chest on the shin. Okay, let's rise up. We'll make it a variation on Ardha Matsyendrasana. Left leg straight, right foot plunks over the left leg so that the left knee and the center of the right foot are kind of together. Hug the knee to the left shoulder and twist. If the hug is going well, hook your arm as close to your armpit as possible. And for right now, let's just keep that left elbow bent. And we'll try not to lean back too far. And we'll just think about getting our torso as close to the right thigh as possible. So it's relatively comfortable based on your knowledge of the full Ardha Matsyendrasana or Marichyasana C. Okay, let's unravel. Straighten out that right leg and sit up, which sounds like it should be really easy. But if you straighten the right leg, it's very tempting to sit like this. But this is not how we sit when we're on our yoga mat. Shoulders back, forward tilt in the pelvis, sit up tall. If that means you have to wedge something under your butt, that's fine. Just take another breath here. You're kind of suctioning up from the pelvic floor out the top of the head. Okay, we're going to make it into Marichyasana C, which is a bit harder than the previous pose. So now bend your right knee and get your heel close to your sitting bone. Sit up tall. Twist so your left shoulder goes toward your right knee. And either hug or hook your arm, just like you did previously. But this time, left arm can come around the shin bone. Your thumb will guide the way. Your palm will be facing away from your body. and your right hand can pick up. Eventually, your left hand is going to hold your right wrist. That is very hard to happen if you're leaning back. So remember in your previous poses, we talked about leaning forward. So just do that as best you can. And every time you practice this pose, it will get a little smoother. Okay, let's unravel. Whew. We're going to step this left leg back into a lunge. So push into your right foot and just swing the left leg back. And if that wasn't a good way, then go some other way. So you're just in a lunge, right foot forward. Earlier we did a simple twist. So feel free to stay there, left hand down, right hand up. Or left arm is going to come outside of the right thigh. And then you could still do the same arm setup, where you're separating your arms. Or you can bind, like you just did in your Asana. So that right hand can help get your left arm under, just a little nudge at the forearm, and the right arm will come around, just like it did when you were sitting. But of course, now you have to deal with balance. So maybe you do it with your back knee on the floor. You might do it like that for a decade. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, let's slowly unwind, step back, vinyasa. All right, then we come have a seat, and we'll do the other side, starting with double pigeon, I think, because I don't think we did that on the second side. Am I right? Okay, yay! So left leg is on top. Very often I like to turn this pose into Ardha Matsyendrasana. Those of you who practice second series, you might want to incorporate this right before Ardha Matsyendrasana because it's great prep for the Ekapada Shirsasana series and sequences. We take a few breaths here. Both butt cheeks are on the floor. If that feels like it's too hard, just put a towel under your butt and life will be much easier. Okay, we'll rise up. Right leg straight. Left foot over the knee. And this is pretty precise. So if your left foot is too far back by your hip, it's not going to be a nice alignment. If it's too far forward, it doesn't work. So it's really just next to the knee. Twist. If that's going well, hook your elbow. And you'll notice it's okay to hook the elbow. It's not too hard. Let's try to go more tricep, armpit near thigh. Just make it as hard as you can for you so that you're in the moment, because if it's too easy, you're going to think about something else. And also, you still need to be able to breathe. If it's too hard and you stop breathing, you have gotten your ego involved. So, very fine lines we walk. Okay, let's unwind and just sit with straight legs. This is Dandasana. It should be easy, but it's not. If you don't have something to wedge under your hips, but you wish you did, you could bend your knees a little bit. That's another way to make it slightly easier, just without the use of a prop. Because we want this forward tilt of the pelvis, just enough to keep our spine straight. Okay, Marjasana C for side 2. Left knee bends. Heel is very close to your sitting bone. If it's too far forward, the full bind will be impossible. We hook, or we just keep hugging. Looking back might help you twist a little more. Push your knee to the left, no matter what grip you have with your right arm. Okay, and we unravel. Your left foot is already pushing into the floor. So you could just push more and step back. If you have any knee issues, do not go that way. And then decide, do you want a simple twist, right hand on the big toe side, or do you want a deeper twist, right hand on the pinky toe side? If you do choose this, right hand pinky toe side of the foot, you could make it easier by bringing your hands to prayer, or harder by taking the full bind. When in my first teacher training, we would think of a lot of poses as like the base of the pose is 0, and then you could go plus or minus from there. And that's pretty much every pose. You can make it as hard or as easy as you want. So decide what's good for your shoulder, what's good for your balance. Okay, and let's slowly get out of there and vinyasa. All right. So we're going to attempt Asana, but it's really hard. So you might decide instead to do Vadahasta C. I'm going to move my computer because if I fall, I do not want to fall on it. So I'll just show you. It's not going to look that different than your headstand. So I'm looking at my feet right now. I'm going to attempt to keep my eyes back there as I come up. So now I'm just looking kind of into the sun. It's super uncomfortable. Hopefully you do not have a sunbeam in your eyeballs. So I'm just trying to push my chest toward that door. Woo. And it's fun because you feel this real opening in the armpit. I want to watch, but I also want to do it again, which means you get to do it again also. So let me watch first. If that's too much for you and your head needs to be on the ground, just keep your head on the ground. Oh, Monique has something cute in her house. I see tail. I see a tushy and a tail. Oh my goodness, the cutest thing in the world. And Carol, I'm pretty sure your head's on the ground because you're like not even swaying at all. Okay, let's come on down and rest. Okay. And we're going to try it again. Really because I want to try it again. But before we try it again, we're going to do one little armpit stretch. Because when you're in this Asana, it feels like this position, but someone is pulling your hands back because your chest is moving away. So it's really this that we're dealing with. So let's come into Anahatasana with our elbows bent. So we'll lower to the elbows and let's bring our fingers into like this little teepee shape. Walk the knees back, drop the chest down. And having the fingers in this little teepee shape just makes the wrists stay a little bit more in their lane. They're not quite in their full lane with the elbows, but they're closer than they'd be if we had our palms together. John, can you get your elbows to bend more? Yes. Okay. And let's release by bringing the knees in a little bit more. Okay. I'm just going to face the other way this time because I know one of my distraction factors was that sun. So if you found that you're maybe with no wall, you're freaking out, or you don't want to land on your dog, turn yourself into a different position. We're just going to do the same thing. Asana. So we drop the head, we're in down dog B, and we try to come up to something straight with our head off the ground. And we're very used to doing pincha where we're arched. So remember all that work we did in Warrior 3 to try to get our core straightening our body out for us. We just do our best. John, your legs are leaning a little to the right. There we go. It was like a straight until the hips, and then the legs were doing their own thing. All right. Good. Let's come to our backs. And we'll bring our heels close enough to our butt that we can graze our fingertips to the heels. And lift the hips up. Let's interlace the fingers under the back. Rock a little side to side until you feel like your arms are well wedged underneath. If you can, get your arms straight and push the pinky edge of your hand into the floor. Okay, let's release and come on down. So our back will be on the floor again. Let's bring our feet to touch each other. Don't worry, we're not lifting to a back bend with our feet together. That would potentially kill me. So find a neutral back, so you're not arched, you're not pressing your spine into the floor. Put your hands on your torso just so that you know how stable you are. And lift your right leg up to the ceiling. Keep your fingers kind of grazing around on your lowest ribs and start to lower your right leg toward the floor. Don't let anything change in the shape of your spine. And you'll notice as your right leg approaches the mat, it's a lot of ab strength. And lift your right leg up again, still without letting anything change, so don't smush your spine into the floor, and lower the right foot. So you just have this neutral back. There's a tiny little gap there between your low back and the floor. Lift your left leg up, keep that neutrality. Point the toes, just like you did in Warrior 3, you're reaching the leg away from you and start to lower it down, just to the point where you still can control it. If it becomes too difficult, just don't go any lower, come up a few inches. When the leg is low like this, it's very tempting to arch. Don't do it. And start to bring the leg up again without smushing your spine into the floor. And lower the foot. Okay, let's try the same thing, but with the arm moving. So left hand to the torso, right arm to the ceiling, and start to lower the right arm overhead. And you'll notice as the knuckles approach the floor, your ribs want to splay out. Don't let them. Bring your right arm up again, and change arms. Right hand to the ribs, left arm up. Start to extend the left arm overhead. Don't let anything change. Bring the left arm up. And lower the hand. Okay, let's find our back bend again. Lift the hips. This time potentially hands by the shoulders. Urdhva Dhanurasana. Come towards straight arms. And whichever thing you're doing, push into the balls of your feet. Bring your knees 1 inch closer together, just so they're still on track with your hips and ankles. Let's come on down, nice and slow. Okay, we'll roll over to the side, and we'll just come into down dog B again. We're gonna turn it into Pincha Mayurasana this time. But just like in those little ab exercises we just did, we don't want to just let it all hang out in Pincha Mayurasana. It's still a streamlined process of allowing the back bend to happen. So when you're ready, step one foot in a bit, lift the other leg up, give yourself a bit of a reach with the top leg, a bit of a push with the bottom leg. And play within about 1 inch of extra bend and minimize the bend. And just see how your ribs and your abdominal muscles are contributing to your ability to control that. Good. And learning this will make it so that you don't need a wall forever, because then you'll feel like you can always make choices. All right, so take your time coming down. We'll just rest in child's pose. We'll rise up to stand on the knees. We'll go for a bit of an Ustrasana and then some other things and a Lagavajrasana. It will be great fun. Okay, so either toes untucked or tucked. I'm going to tuck mine because I don't feel like reaching so far to get my heels. We'll lift the chest and squeeze the elbows together. As soon as you squeeze the elbows, you're going to feel your chest and armpits get a crazy stretch. So elbows squeeze in and either stay there or hands to the heels. Keep pushing the hips forward. You can drop your head back if you'd like. Good. And then come on up and let's sit for a moment on the feet. All right, so the next one is not quite as pleasant. Lagavajrasana, first a few preps. So let's start by reaching forward. This will just help us counterbalance our body. We're gonna lean back, our feet are gonna catch us, and we're gonna reach forward. So you can do that. That's like the easiest of the preps, but you're gonna feel like your quads are on fire anyway. There's no escaping that. If that's going well and you want more, aim your hands for your ankles. And you don't have to come all the way down. It's just a practice of leaning back and pushing forward. And when I lean back, it's easier to get the hands to the ankles. When I push forward, not quite as easy. Let me just see how this is going. Good. So the next round of it, just stand on your knees for a moment so that you're not dying and you were able to do one more round. So you could repeat what you did, or those of you putting your hands on your ankles, you're going to come down, but you're going to come up again. And you're going to keep your hands on your ankles the whole time. And do maybe like 3 to 5. So any of those versions, the easiest one, remember, is with the arms out in front. And you just kind of work in your range. I've had some phases where this hurts my knees. So there's been months at a time where I've avoided this pose. Carolyn, thumbs are on the inside. Yeah, so it's an easy shoulder position. Just not easy on anything else. Okay, good. All right, resting. So our little apex pose will not be for all of you. Carol Bloom doesn't get to choose, the rest of you get to choose. So we're gonna go from Baddha Hasta C into Stanuyasana into Pincha Mayurasana. I know it sounds crazy because it is. So we start in a headstand. And I'm going to come up with my knees bent because after back bends, I sort of need to. I'm going to try squeezing my feet together. I'm going to try to keep looking in the same direction that I'm looking now as I lift my head. Okay, so my head's off the ground now. I don't know if you can tell because it's not a grandiose thing. And now I'm going to start to reach my head forward and arch into Pincha Mayurasana. So it's pretty fun. the level of precarious is quite high. I'd say a 9 of 10. So if you have a wall, use that. If you don't have a wall, maybe skip some of the transitions. Don't do 3 poses, do 2 of the 3. Monique, think a little more reaching with your leg. So that top leg is going to try to touch the ceiling. Ooh, Carol, I didn't see your transition, but you stayed there for a long time. Transitions are the hardest part. So if you can do your headstand and you can do your forearm stand, still getting from one to the other is a whole new ballgame. And it just takes practice. All right, try it one more time and then we will start to wrap things up. And John, you can push so John, that was good. Then you just need your hips to go toward it looks like your balcony door. And your feet move toward the camera. So if you were here, say I'm upside down, then you need your hips to move. Something like that. And Carol, you can try it both ways. So once you nail your pincha, start to pull it back into your headstand. Good, John. Keep going with those hips. Yes. Oh, the fun never stops. All right. So let's come to Baddha Konasana, which is very friendly. We're going to put our hands on our feet. You could put your butt on a towel. We're going to arch for the inhale, round for the exhale. A few times like this. I have the tendency to turn very friendly poses into scary poses. So let's do that now with Baddha Konasana. Let's just sit up. Notice how easy it is to sit up straight with your hands on your feet. Let's try to do that reaching forward. And all of a sudden, we want to fling ourselves apart. So try to keep yourself together. Okay, let's try to round ourselves here. And then try to arch yourself here. Possibly bend your elbows. It makes it a little bit easier. And it's not going to be a huge arch. And just go back and forth like this. You will be using the bandhas and the abs, whether you know it or not, whether you speak English or not, it doesn't matter. You don't have to know what's working to have it work. Okay. All right, let's release our legs out in a V shape. Upavishta Konasana. We'll slide our hands down our legs, possibly all the way to the feet, to the edges of the feet. But whatever you end up doing with your hands is fine, so long as your kneecaps still face up. Flex your feet. Take 2 more breaths. You can even look with your eyeballs if you're not quite sure what's happening with your feet. Let's rise up, wiggle the legs together. With legs straight or bent, reach down for your shins, ankles, or feet and fold. This is Paschimottanasana. Oh, hello, kitty. Oh, Carolyn, I had a cute view. My view is going away. And John, flex your feet. There we go. All right. Let's rise up. I will just roll down to our backs. And once you get down to your back, bring your right knee to your chest. Escort it into a twist. Drop it over to the left with the left hand, either on the knee or the foot. You can keep your right arm out to the side and open through the chest. It feels great. Or you can bring your right thumb to your hip crease and push your hip away from your armpit. It's a different stretch, more for the waist than the chest. Okay, come through center over to the other side. Do you want to hold your knee or your foot? That's a decision. Do you want your left arm out to the side or thumb in hip crease? That's a decision. And these are just two options. There's many other things you could do. Okay, let's bring it through center. Give yourself a little hug, knees in. And set up for Shavasana. I always say that I'm not a huge prop person, but that would be not true for Shavasana. I go props all the way sometimes for Shavasana. Take a few more breaths here. Use the next few breaths to roll to the side and sit up. Bring the hands together. First, just sit up tall and make sure that you can, just like we did earlier. That you can in an easy way where you're not gripping at the hip flexors or at the shoulders. Just an easy alignment. We'll bring the thumbs between the brows and fold forward. Namaste.